and welcome back to EBSCO Street. As you can see, I've not done much work on EBSCO Street, Gordon's Lane, Tramlink, any of the other layouts that I've seen. Some of you may have seen on my social media is my mum's got quite ill over the last couple of months, so I've had to readapt the house to suit for her. So I've not really had that much time to do any modelling. So over the last couple of weeks, I managed to fit a couple of hours in. As you can see, Gordon's Lane is slightly a little bit different. There's lots of more trees on there now, more greenery, and bits that I've managed to do. I've done some more weathering, I've done some more ballasting. So fingers crossed, hopefully, things should be progressing quite quickly. So what's going to be happening now is I'm actually going to be fitting the third rail. So what I've done with a mate of mine is we've actually tarnished them so they look pretty dark and dingy, as what a third rail would look like. So I'm going to be fitting those. The only thing I haven't done with the chairs is coloured them. I've left them white, so eventually over a period of time I'll probably go around with a small paintbrush to paintbrush them to obviously give them that grey look as they are. But obviously why I've not been doing much videoing or much social media stuff is I've had my own club show, which was back in October. We had a couple of other shows between that time previously, and we've done quite a fair bit of running up to Christmas in the club, as well as trying to do the general household things, you know, work, eat, sleep, repeat. So behind me is Gordon's Lane. I've got 3 boards up. I've done a little bit more wiring on the curves, which are just down below. I've got a couple of interesting stuff that I'm going to show you regarding the signalling. So most of you know that I quite like colour light signalling. It's got to be prototypical. So a friend of mine is basically building the modules, which obviously we've tested over a number of periods. We first tested on EBSCO Street, then we've tested on Cedar Court, then we've also done on Stoneycroft Junction, and now we've also done on Gordon's Lane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of videos to show you what they actually do. So I'm on Gordon's Lane. I'm going to have 4 aspect colour light signalling. So I'm going to have LEDs, for the 4 aspect signal LED going in one direction, and then I'm going to have 4 Western House 4 bulbs, 4 lights, signal heads going in the other direction, so simulating like one end's being signalled and then the other end is going to be converted over. So I want it to work correctly. So with the panel, gives me track circuit indications, and obviously then it will tell the signals what to do with the track circuits. So with this system, it's pretty easy. It's 2 wires like your DCC or your analog, and you divide your sections up, and as the train goes through, and they all talk to each other from the line. So underneath you have a cable that joins and then joins underneath, which obviously goes across the joints. So the idea of that is to try and give you a more realistic signal. Also then it slows people down from running another train straight behind it, so it gives you that more realistic look. With Gordon's Lane, obviously I try to make it as easy as possible. Obviously it had its first show at Bredgar. Now I did kind of found some advantages and some disadvantages with it. The fill yard's too small for the size of the layout to get the much stock on. So if you've got 2 12-car 450s, and then you've got a 3-car 159, it takes quite a lot up the fiddle yard. So I am looking at possibly changing the way that the fiddle yard and the way that the layout is operated. I may move a couple of boards and do it something like that. I haven't not quite decided on how I'm going to do it yet, but I am going to be looking at it, especially for the future, because once obviously I get all this working, then obviously it'll be easier to then adapt it. Things like EBSCO Street it first started off at 24 foot and then grew by another 4 foot, then grew by another 4 foot, then grew by another 4 foot, then grew by another 8 foot wide, then it grew by 16 foot down the back of the fiddle yard. If you've seen it, maybe not. So that's probably going to be the next thing. Once I get all this scenic, so I'm going to get this all finished first and then look at what I'm going to do with the fiddle yard for Gordon's Lane to make it bigger, because obviously eventually I want it to work on EBSCO Street as well. So having them extra couple of lines does make a hell of a difference. The next couple of things that I'm going to be doing is obviously fitting the third rail, doing some more lights, and then I'm in two minds of what I need to do. Is, as you can see on here, you get this bit of a shadow from this point up here. So I don't know if to put complete wood over the top of it, which I don't have anything to hand, or I do, have wood go completely over the top and then light it up from underneath in the pelmet side, or actually the next best thing is to actually put some like skirting over the top, black skirting quite thick, so then there's nothing that sits on top, it just literally sits over the top and then folds down. I've not quite worked out what I'm going to do yet. Like everything, it's a trial and see, because I don't really want to put another bit of wood on, because then that's going to make it really heavy, then it's light in it and everything else. So I've got quite a fair bit to do. I've got some scenery stuff, and the other thing I've got to do, which I'll just show you, which is over here. I've done some more ballasting and some work around this area here. Obviously you can see a couple of wires dangling down here. This is for the aquascale buffers. So one's going to be going there, and then one's going to be going there as well. So this is the long head shunt coming into the line. I put a building in place, it's just a couple of buildings put in. I've obviously added a lot more trees along down the side of the back. So fingers crossed, hopefully I can do some more videos now when I get a bit more spare time. Hopefully we'll be able to see him on a couple of shows. But if you do, come say hi. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crack on fitting the third rail. Doing other little bits and pieces, showing you what I've been up to. So I'm going to keep this little update a little bit short and sweet. So I'm going to crack on and do some of the third rail. But it's lovely to see you back with me at the channel, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some more updates as the new year comes. Obviously I'm quite lucky, I've got a little bit of time over Christmas, so I'm going to be really busy in here. Cracking on trying to get it all finished ready for January and February. So thank you very much for watching. Let's go and do some work now. So I'm fitting third rail now, so I've done some behind me already, and I just thought I'll show you how fiddly it can be. So I cut all the chairs up when I was nights. So what you have to do is, obviously you've got a like a I can't think what, £130 rail, web rail, and then literally you have to literally hold it and then feed it through. So I've got 3 on there so far. I need about 10. So I'm going to try and show you how fiddly it can be. So you've got it there, you literally have to just guide it through, and then just push it down, and obviously try and give that. So obviously that will then go into your sleeper. So I've got quite a few on there at the moment. And then the other thing I've been thinking of is, how am I going to do like the cable that connects to the third rail. So I've been trying to look for some really fine black wire, or covered black wire, to simulate like the cable running from a location along the track, so it can be looks a little bit more realistic. So what probably need quite a few for this part. Can be quite fiddly. I've noticed it does hurt your hands a bit. When I built Betwick, which is a southern region third rail layout, that was quite difficult to, but that had a lot of point work, so you had a lot of dive unders, lots of, whereas this hasn't got too bad. I think I'm roughly doing it around about 4 foot long, and then I'm changing sides, but obviously I can only fit 4 boards up at any one moment in here, so at the moment I've just got 3 up. I'll probably do up till 2 and 2 and a bit boards, and then I'll wait until I can get the 4th board up and then drop off like that section, because at the moment I've paired them, that they're in pairs, so that one and that one go together, that one and the next one go together. Just makes it a little bit easier when setting up and transporting in the van. It just makes it saves a lot of time of bolting, unbolting and screwing up. So I've got a few on there now. Now I don't know if you can see, but if I turn it that way, some you can just see like there's a little bit of a ledge, and it's mainly where obviously it's been in the mouldings, and to try and take all the like the fray bits off where you've used a knife to cut them, or a pair of scissors or a pair of cutters, whichever. It's just trying to make them so you don't notice it. Now you can definitely tell you're going to notice these when the tracks when it's put down, because obviously these are white. So I've got a little bit of an airbrush. So what I'll do is I'll take you over to there and you can see how fiddly it is. So what I've done is I've already pre-drilled the holes along this side. Track definitely needs a clean. But what I'm going to do first is, because I'm starting a new run on this side similar to what this side is, I'm just going to get a pair of pliers, and then literally I've used this as many times. I've used these set of pliers and then literally just pull down, so it gives you the there we go, it gives you the dip, as if the shoe gear was going to be running off. Now I don't know how clever I'm going to be to actually show you this, but we'll give it a go. So what I'm doing now is I'm just evenly pulling them apart, so when I do fit the third rail I haven't got to move the chairs along the whole lot without disturbing him too much. Just makes it, probably going to need a few more on this one, but we will soon find out. So what I'll do is I shall move you on the other side. Hopefully you'll be able to see what is actually going to happen. So I've got the third rail in here, so I've got a hole there, and then I'm just going to hold that one in place, and then just move the chairs down until they're in the hole. And that you probably can't see because my great big hand's in the way, but it does get easier, honest. But as you can see, you can just about see it's starting to
take shape. And the idea is obviously try and get it as low as possible, so that when you do have some of the third rail, like the 73s and the 450s, they've actually got shoe gears on, you don't want it to be actually hitting them. Pico do supply a spacer which you're supposed to put on between them to get it at the right height, but I'd rather be lower than having to readjust it all the time. And obviously when you've got a track rubber as well, you don't want it to be hitting that as well. So there we go, so I've fitted in that side and you can just about see it, which is there. And then all I do is I use some plastic glue. I just dop a bit on the top just to sit it in place. And then it's now sometimes you can actually see where you're a bit high, because obviously it sits there, but there we go. So I've redone, so what I want to try and do is here is run the cables round like that to give you the cable for the 750. So I've got quite a fair bit to do. I'm going to do this next bit and then over onto this side. So fingers crossed, hopefully I'll be able to take some photos of it and it will look pretty good. So let's crack on and do some. So here are some modules from Model Railway Signalling Solutions. What they do is they divide your track circuits up into sections, which then allows you to control the signals in each area. So there's various different types. So this is just a standard track circuit section. The next one is going to be a standard with flashing LEDs, so giving you diversionary route. And then the next one just gives you the standard 4-colour light aspect signalling. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play you the video that they recorded up in Scotland of me talking to them about EBSCO Street. Gives you a little bit more information.
Hi there, Mike Edwards here on day one of Model Rail Scotland at the SEC in Glasgow, the biggest model railway exhibition in the country. And this is EBSCO Street, which is a phenomenal layout. And before we go too far into it, I just want to say quite a lot here that I'm trying to replicate on my layout in Verschanden, which is accessible on Facebook. I'm joined by Greg. Talk us through, well, first of all, where you're from and what this is all about.
So, obviously, EBSCO Street was built because we sadly had to get rid of one of our modern image layouts in the club. So I'm part of the Beckenham West Wickham Model Railway Club and I'm the chairman of the club. So I decided to take all the little bits and pieces that I enjoyed of all the layouts that I've seen and bits and pieces. So I then decided I'm going to build EBSCO Street. So I couldn't really base it on the road that I live on in London. So I decided to pick a little cul-de-sac off the road in my London, so it's called EBSCO Street. So I started building some of the houses down here, and then obviously I then said I had loads of rolling stock and coaches. And one of my best friends, Paul, who obviously helped me build the layout, said that you've got all these units and locos, you need to show them off.
And so, what's unusual about this, for me, is it's U-shaped. Yes. Now, we're used to tail chasers, we're used to end-to-end. You've got a beautiful station, but you've also got so much down the road there, which we'll get to in a minute, but it's quite unusual.
Yes, it's very unusual. So basically what I wanted to do is give the concept of obviously having locos that you can see at the front, and obviously you can see loads of rolling stock units, 150s, 158s, 170s, Voyagers, just going up and down the main line in and out the carriage sidings. And the other thing that we wanted to show off is the unique signalling system that we've got here, which is a fully colour light signalling system, which we use track circuiting. So as the train goes through, the track detects the train, which then replaces signal back to danger. So
sorry to interrupt you, but so much to talk about. I noticed obviously a period station building, and you've also got that classical southern region signal box, which could actually be possibly derelict. It might even be not used anymore, but there's just so many little touches of detail here, Greg. It's a fabulous layout.
Thank you. Yeah, well, the reason why I choose the southern based signal box is because I actually helped the guy who designed that, which was Vernon Smith. He actually made it as a limited edition for the signal box down in Rochester, and I used to work for him. So I used to work for Model Zone Signal Box, and I still work for Invicta Model Rail now, based in Sidcup. And because obviously I'm a southern man, I had to bring some sort of southern into it in some bits, even though the layout is based in the Midlands.
Moving further down, we can see lots of other little touches that I particularly find fascinating. We've got the local wash, the carriage cleaning wash plant. We've got little touches, things that really appeal to me. Daft little things like skips full of scrap. Yeah. You've got the jacks there around the maintenance shed. Talk us through these little icons.
Yeah, so basically, as much as I like having loads of rolling stock moving about, I like adding little bits of detail. So I put the carriage wash in because obviously there's not that many layouts that have got carriage wash. Yes, we'd all love it to be working and real water going round, but we just can't do it. So obviously I tried to make a lot of like a small little maintenance depot and things like that, because obviously I work for GBRF. Obviously we have a base down in Doncaster, and obviously we've got a shed very similar to the one there that's based on Peterborough. So obviously we just add the little bits of detail, add the little bits of sand, add the people, add the cement, and there's loads of other little minute bits of detail that you can see, like the AWS magnets, and you've got the TPWS grids in the forefoot. So you can really see how much detail and time we've gone into doing it.
Let's go to my favourite bit. Now, the layout from a rolling stock train going back and forth point of view stops really for the viewer at the tunnel.
Yes.
But there is so much more to see down here, and you've got me really hooked without any real movement because, again, of the detail, but two or three things that really appeal to me. We've got the railhead treatment team trains, and we've got the fuel road.
Yes. Yeah, so basically, obviously, I do like the odd and weird and wonderful things. So I love the rail treatment trains, the MPVs, the rail road vehicles, because I was an S&T engineer for 5 years, so I worked alongside the machines. So it's fantastic to actually get something that you worked alongside that you can actually show people, because some people don't see it because it's based during the night, so you never see it during the day. And the reason why I wanted to put the fuel point is if I'm showing off all these locos in these two fantastic long sidings, where are they going to get fuel? Because every depot needs a fuel point.
Greg, this is a fabulous layout. We could talk about it for hours. Thank you very much indeed. Day one of the exhibition, obviously lots more to see, and you're going to be hearing a lot more from me before Sunday afternoon. Bye for now.
So I just want to say a huge thank you again for taking the time out to watch this video. I hope it's given you a little bit of an insight, and hopefully I'll be able to give you a little bit more to what's actually going on. So thanks so much again. Please remember to like, subscribe and turn on those notifications, and I shall see you on the next video. Bye bye.